Good morning! Yes, I know I'm wearing my hair in braids. I braided it last night to sleep in. So, actually slept pretty good. So, good morning! This is going to be like super short today because you guys are going to get a long one. Well, I'm posting a long video today. This is super short. Okay, whatever. So, I'm just hoping today is boring and warm because I don't want a repeat of yesterday. So, for those of you who couldn't understand my garbled thing at the end of my video yesterday, about 4:20, apparently, the fire alarms in the building started going off. Not the smoke alarm, smoke detectors, blah, blah, blah. Not the smoke detectors in our apartment. None of those were going off. The fire alarms in the hallway were going off. And apparently they were going off in this row of apartment blocks, where it's just one building divided up into the blocks. So this whole row that we're in, the fire alarm was going off, and apparently it was going off in other buildings. And so, I heard it first. I didn't know what it was. Like I said, I actually thought it was my Blu-ray player because my Blu-ray player does make a buzzing sound when it's off balance. And there's a DVD in there, a Blu-ray or DVD in there. And then I realized it wasn't my Blu-ray player. I walked out into the hallway, realized it wasn't anything in the apartment next to us, and I followed the sound to the hallway, to the door, and where we go out into the building. And I'm like, oh, that sounds like the fire alarm. So I go to my brother after a little bit thinking, I go, do you hear that buzzing noise? He's like, yeah, I think it's in the apartment over. I'm like, Aaron, that's out in the hallway. So he goes to check it, and while I check it, I grab my R2 purse, and I'm putting this in there. I have my wallet in there. I didn't realize that I had my house keys in there. I go and grab my social card from where I keep it hidden, and I stick it in my purse. Because I'm like, okay, I will need my health insurance card, my bank card, my ID, and my social card. Like, I have to have those. And then for some odd reason, I don't know why, and even though it's been drummed in my head, if there's fire, you just want to get out. I grabbed my tablet and my laptop. And my thinking was, I had been working on my writing, and I saved what I had and was turning it off. And I'm like, okay, I need to grab my laptop because that has over a year and a half of stuff I've been writing. That has all the vlogs. That has everything. My laptop literally has my entire life, like my writing, everything on there. So I need my laptop. So I stick my tablet into my laptop case and I grab it as I'm going outside. I'm like, well, there's really a fire. I'm losing all my Star Wars stuff. Like, I was praying and hoping there wasn't a fire because I didn't want to lose any of my Star Wars stuff. Nobody wants to lose their stuff. And I know for a heck that I wouldn't get any of it back. And then we go out to the hallway. There's no smoke. We don't smell anything, but we go outside anyway because that's what we're taught to do. But since there's no fire, we don't go very far. And so my brother and I just stand out in front of our building, and we look down, and there's people from other buildings. There's only 4 of us in our entire building that were here when the alarm was going off. Me, my brother, an older guy, and a little boy, about 10, 12 years old. That when he came outside, I told him to stay out here, buddy. We don't know what's going on. And he didn't have a jacket. So at one point, I actually had my arms wrapped around him, trying to keep him warm because he was so freezing. It was literally freezing. So we stood out there for like 30, 40 minutes, and they had like 2 ladder trucks and 2 command trucks, and they went through all the buildings. I was on the phone with my mom twice. I called her when we got out there to let her know what was happening because she was getting out at 5, and I didn't know if we would be back in the building by then or not. And she didn't answer, so I called my dad and told him what was going on because I thought he was at the store. He was at home. And I said, okay, when everything's settled, I'll let you know. My mom calls me. I tell her what's going on. She's like, okay, bye. And she leaves. And then like 15 minutes later, she calls again. And she's like, what's going on? And I'm like, I don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. All we know is that the fire alarm is going off. It's off now, but we're standing outside. We haven't gotten the okay to go back in. There was no smoke. There was no fire. We don't know what's wrong. And as I'm talking to her, fireman comes up and asks if we have a key to the laundry room. And we do, but it's on the wall in our kitchen. So it's like, no, I don't have one. So he walked past us, and my mom's like, I'm coming home early. I'm like, okay. So she came home early. But we were back in the building like 10 minutes before she got home, so we don't know what happened. We don't know anything, but the funny thing is that this actually happened 2 or 3 years ago, where my mom was home at the time too. I was like, is that yellow or orange? The fire alarm in the building just went off, and we didn't. The fire came. The people came. They checked on it. Everything was fine. We went back into the building, and like a half an hour later, it went off again. And my mom had told my brother and I to put a bag together with all our electronics, all the stuff we wanted to take with us, just in case. So we actually had like to-go bags from Ours ready to go. That time turns out that someone hadn't turned the heat up in the apartments. We have to keep the heat in our apartments up to 65 because the apartment is actually heated using like the hot water pipes and stuff. So that's how we keep the apartment warm. And so we need to keep the heat up, because if we don't, the pipes will burst and it will just send hot steam everywhere. So that's why the fire alarm kept going off that time. When someone's heat wasn't on, the pipes burst and it kept staying up steam. And I remember staying up to like 1 o'clock in the morning just in case. And I wasn't the only one. The maintenance man was actually here to manually turn off the alarm if it went off again. So, well, we don't know what happened. We have no clue. The apartment manager came yesterday, but she left. So when my mom went to track her down, she couldn't find out what was happening. So we don't know what happened yesterday. All we know is that for whatever reason, the fire alarm went off, but nothing was wrong. So, and the firemen did a pretty thorough job. They checked every single one of the buildings. They checked the village house, which is like where we have like a little rec room, play area. So they checked everything, and there was nothing wrong. So, sorry. So we don't know what happened. It was just one of those bizarre things. And afterwards, my mom and my brother decided to go to Walmart because my mom forgot to grab my brother's medicine and we needed milk. So they went to Walmart and also got us dinner. I stayed home and I wrote a little bit. I'm so proud of how much writing I got done yesterday. I think I could actually finish this chapter of Crossing Battlefields today if I just put my nose to the grindstone and get done. I'm going to have to take a couple breaks, obviously, for lunch, and I'm going to wash my hair. But I think I can actually get done today, which would be great because because that means I will done all 5 episodes of the Clone Wars Geonosian arc, and then I'm doing an interlude between Rex and Ahsoka that will kind of wrap up the whole Geonosian arc in my story, and I kind of want to get that done this week and post 2 things this week, the chapter and the interlude for the Geonosian arc, because next week is Thanksgiving, and I already talked about how much Christmas decorating I have to do. I don't plan on writing next week. I have all the chapters outlined so far. I have a pretty decent start, so I don't want to write next week, and then I go into Lightsaber Lost the week and then I'll post Lightsaber Lost will be the first full week in December. That will be what's posted. So I already have a feeling, because I'm taking 2 weeks off. Well, I won't be writing anything from December 23rd to January 2nd. So I'm taking all that time off from writing for Christmas and New Year's because Christmas and New Year's are on a Sunday and Monday. So I'm taking all that time off for that, and then I'll go back to writing on the 3rd. The 2nd or 3rd, which means my posting schedule is I post episode-based chapters every other week, and interlude chapters get posted a week after an episode chapter. So that means I'm probably going to be right in the middle of an arc, and I think I know what arc it's going to be. I'm going to have to check my chapter outline, but I'm pretty sure I think the next major arc I have is the Duchess Satine arc, the first one. I think that's going to be the arc I'm working on when Christmas comes, which means I will be stopping right in the middle of an arc, which makes me sad. But I don't want to write next week, and I don't want to write over New Year's and Christmas, so I'm taking that time off just to decompress, because I have been writing solidly the Geonosian arc since September. I've been working on one story arc, so I need to get it done. But speaking of Star Wars, last night was the mid-season finale entitled Rebel Assault, and at long last we have our X-Wings. That was so amazing. It was so cool. Both times I saw the Rebel Season 2 trailers, and I saw the X-Wings. I freaked out. The X-Wings and Y-Wings are my favorite fighter ships. I love them. Well, also the Jedi Starfighters, the ones they use in Clone Wars. I can't remember them off the top of my head. But I love it, and I have a Y-Wing and an X-Wing. I actually have Luke's X-Wing, but I don't have a Jedi Starfighter, and that's the one I really want. So I'm missing, of my 3 favorite Starfighters, I have 2. I need the 3rd one. But it was so cool seeing X-Wings. It was even more cool seeing Hera pilot them. And I loved it because on Rebels Recon, they said, who's the better X-Wing, who's the better pilot, Hera or Poe? And I'm like, it's Hera. Okay, Hera is the better pilot. Poe is cool, Poe is good, but Hera is so much better. As they said, she flies a cargo ship like she flies a fighter. So I love her. She's so cool. But I have to say this, I don't want to spoil anything, but dang it, Star Wars Rebels, you made me cry again. Oh my gosh. Like, it is horrible. Like, this, I'm actually feeling like I want to cry right now because of what happened. This is horrible. I cried a little bit during the season 1 finale. But and then I did really good in season 2 until I got to Shroud of Darkness. Then I teared up a little bit, and then Twilight of the Apprentice, I bawled like a baby for like the last 15 minutes of the show. I was just outright crying, and then I teared up during the season 3 finale, and I watched it. I watched the season 3 finale on Blu-ray, and I did cry during the first episode. I did cry. So. And then I cried last night. I'm like, dang it, this is not good. What am I going to be doing during the series finale if I'm crying at episode 9 of the series? But it was just so... Star Wars, I don't know. It was just this whole thing. I will spoil a little because probably everybody knows it by now. Hera got captured. Kanan wasn't anywhere to save her, and I just wanted to burst out bawling because it just doesn't seem fair, because Hanan and Cara finally established their relationship. They're finally kind of together. They're finally admitting they're in love with each other, and they're not dancing around it anymore, and they're just meant to be together. And then the stupid Loth Wolf, which is still cool and awesome and amazing, the stupid Loth Wolf doesn't stop Kanan from actually going to save Hera because he has a different thing. I'm like, that's not fair. And then, of course, that happens, and Katie's like, I know what I must do. And I'm like, oh, crud. Kanan's gonna die. And that made me even more sad. So it's like, dang it. This is not good. I don't know. If I'm crying now, what am I going to be like for the rest of the series when it comes back in a few weeks? I am like, I don't want to know. I feel like I am just going to lose it and bawl. The good thing is that we should be getting a mid-season trailer, because the first 2 trailers they released were for all the stuff at the first half of the season, so hopefully we get a mid-season trailer. I'm just like, Rebels, you torture me. I mean, Clone Wars, I actually cried twice the entire episodes of Clone Wars. The only times I cried on Clone Wars was I cried when Duchess Satine died, and I cried because I was so sad for Obi-Wan. So I cried when she died, and then I teared, and then I did cry a little when Ahsoka left the Order. Oh, and then I cried a little bit during Lost Missions when Yoda goes on the mission Qui-Gon sends him on. And I did cry during that one part where he sees the bodies in the Jedi Temple. So I cried a grand total of 3 times, but I feel like I'm going to bawl. But I didn't outright bawl during those episodes. Rebels makes me outright bawl. And it's not just Rebels. I will admit, I cried watching Force Awakens, and I did cry watching Rogue One in theaters, and I know this because my brother, when I was crying, was like kind of edging away from me as far as he could in his seat, because I'm sitting there going, no, it's so good, but it's so sad. That's the horrible thing. It's like, I want to be mad at Rebels and Star Wars for doing these really sad stories that just make me break down in tears, but I can't because they're so good. It's like Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Temple. It's so sad, but it's such a good episode arc. It's like, why? It's like when they killed Duchess Satine. It's so sad, but it was such a good story. It was such an amazing story to see the growth for Obi-Wan. And I'm like, oh no. I know these stories are important, but why do you have to make them so sad? I don't like being sad. I like being happy. And I guess maybe Star Wars isn't the right thing for me because I like happily ever after. And in Star Wars, you're not guaranteed a happily ever after. Just like Andy asked why Guti wasn't in last night's episode of Rebels, and he said, Dave Filoni's like, well, if Guti was in Rebels, she probably would have died. We don't want to kill her. Because I still remember Seth Green saying, if you make it to the end of a Star Wars episode or any Star Wars thing, and you're alive, that's good. I mean, you hit the bar. It's like, yay, I made it! I'm alive! And if you die, you're like, oh well. So, it was awesome. It was pretty cool. I'm definitely still not hyped for seeing the X-Wings, but my heart is still hurting from Hera being captured and Kanan not being able to save her. And I was like, no. And the thing is Ezra, the rest of them don't know what has happened to Hera. They know something bad has happened, but Kanan sent them back to the rebel base on Lothal, and he's gone after her. So he was going to go after her by himself, so they don't know what's happened. But Mart saw it, so Mart will probably tell them. So we're in for an intense episode when we come back. So I'm excited, I'm sad, but now I can focus on Christmas stuff and writing and trying to watch Power Rangers. I talked to Michael, my friend from Facebook last night. It was funny because he likes Power Rangers as much as I do, but he likes Zeo in the first half of Turbo. I'm not a big Zeo or Turbo fan, mainly because they had Tommy break up with Kimberly, and that just seems so. And I like how one person pointed out in a story show on fanfiction.net. Really, the only reason they had Kimberly break up with Tommy was so that Tommy could have an on-screen girlfriend. It's like, why couldn't he stay with Kimberly? They're perfect together. And if you look at the canon for Power Rangers, it is said, I actually have seen this a few times, officially, Tommy is back together with Kimberly in the Power Rangers universe. He did get back together with her after Dino Thunder. So, obviously, they were always meant to be together. So, I'm not the only one who's not a big fan of Tomcat. So, Tommy and Kimberly, Tommy and Cat, not the other Tomcat. But... So I usually watch Mighty Morphin Power Rangers up to where Kimberly gets injured, and then I stop. And then I will go and watch the second half of Turbo after the new team members come in, and then I watch Power Rangers in space. I also like Lost Galaxy, Time Force, Wild Force, and Dino Thunder. Those are my favorites. He says he watched Super Mega Force, and he watched Mega Force and Super Mega Force, which is the big anniversary series, and said that was really good. I haven't seen it yet. I've seen bits and pieces. I'm waiting until after I see the Sentai version, which has pirates. So I'm waiting to see that version first before I go look at the American version, because I am one of those ones who admitted that after Disney kind of took over, they really kind of made it very, very kid-friendly. And I grew up during the time period when I was watching Power Rangers and stuff, where Power Rangers was dark and kind of meaningful and had deeper messages. And then they kind of took it and just went, oh, look, little kid show. And it's like, really? Power Rangers is supposed to be dark. And if you don't believe me, in the original Super Sentai that Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is based off of, in that Super Sentai season, one of the characters dies. And apparently they've done that a few times with the Super Sentai. In Power Rangers, we've only had that once, and it was Kendrix in Lost Galaxy, and she came back to life at the end. So... if you want to know why I think Power Rangers in America should still be kind of dark and meaningful and stuff, go check out Super Sentai. Even though it's very campy and kind of silly and stuff, it is still very, very dark and mature. So, that's that thing that says, oh, just because a Japanese show looks like it's for kids and markets itself to kids, doesn't mean it's exactly for kids. I mean, there's a lot of anime out there that I wouldn't let my kids watch. Like, I love Sailor Moon. I would not let my 8-year-old watch Sailor Moon. And that's how old I was when Sailor Moon came out. And then I saw the Japanese version. I'm like, oh, this isn't really a kid show, is it? So, and I was like a teenager when I saw the Japanese version. I'm like, oh, this is what I have been watching? Okay, so... yeah, I wouldn't let my kids watch the Americanized version of anime, but I wouldn't let them watch it as kids. Because you just don't know. I mean, I remember first time my parents ever watched Sailor Moon with me, I had rented the original Sailor Moon Return movie, Promise of the Rose. They had it in Japanese with the English subtitles at my library. It was the first time I'd ever seen it in Japanese. My parents decided, oh, we're going to watch this with you. And my brother was going through this phase. Every time I got a movie that had swear words in it, he would sit there and count the swear words. And so you have Makoto, Sailor Jupiter, every time she's flipping a bad guy over her shoulder at one point, she's letting out a curse word. And then we're sitting there watching them transform. My mom's like, oh, they're naked. And I'm like, oh, shoot, why are my parents watching this with me again? Like, I had seen a Japanese episode, so I knew it, but I didn't want my parents, though. It's fun, it's cool, it's quirky, but I like talking with Michael because we like some of the same things. He's watched Beetleborgs and VR Troopers, which I kind of remember those shows. I say kind of because as with now, I didn't watch a lot of TV when I was younger because we didn't have cable and stuff. So I don't really clearly remember Beetleborgs or VR Troopers. I think Beetleborgs, they make a wish and they become superheroes or comics and they bring the bad guy out. And then mostly what I watched when I was younger was I watched Power Rangers and Sailor Moon. I don't know if any of you guys remember this TV series. I do. Princess Guinevere and the Jewel Riders. Like, before I saw Sailor Moon, I was obsessed with Princess Guinevere and the Jewel Riders. I thought it was, like, the most amazing show ever. Like, those are what I watched when I was younger. And then I discovered Star Wars. It was like, oh, bye! Hello, weirdness! So, well, this will be it for me today. I'm going to try and crank out that chapter of Crossing Battlefields, get that up and published today so that I can, tomorrow, start working on the interlude and have that up by Thursday or Friday. And that way I can safely take a break. And then I also, well, this Friday, the new Pokemon's game is coming out. So at some point today, I'm going to order Pokemon Ultra Moon and the Pokemon Ultra Moon on Soul Sign Guide off of Amazon so that I can have them at relatively the same time. Because I can't find the game guide anywhere in stores. I think I've done it like once. But I have the game and I want to start playing the game, but I can't because I like to read the guide first. So I want to get them at relatively the same time so I don't have a gap. And also, I still have to order the tickets for The Last Jedi. I still have to get tickets for The Last Jedi. My brother says when I should do that, I should also order tickets for Episode 9, Awakens from His Nap. Think about it. I'm sure you will get it. Like, that is my brother's favorite Star Wars joke. So, and he said it the other night. It's been so long since I heard I didn't realize it. I'm like, oh, that's not going to be the title. So, I still gotta do that. There are two things I want. I was gonna order the Star Wars mouse ears because they have free shipping, but I think I'm gonna hold off and wait on those and get those as like a treat when I finally get a new job. Also, Build-A-Bear has like a little pork for $12.50, but I'm not sure I'm gonna get that. I still have to make my Christmas list to give to my mom, but pretty much all I'm gonna write down is anything girly and or Star Wars. Done. No clothes. Asterisk. No clothes, please. But that will pretty much be it. And whenever she gets me that is either girly and Star Wars, I'll probably include the Last Jedi movie. I don't think the Last Jedi movie novel comes out till January, though. So I could get that for my birthday. But I might include the life and adventures of Luke Skywalker. Because I really want to read the story where it says that Luke Skywalker is so powerful in the Force, he can pull Star Destroyers down out of the sky. I'm not sure I totally believe that. So I'm going to get going for the day. I'm sending you all lots of love, hugs, and prayers. If you are in Michigan or anywhere else that's in this part of the country, please stay warm. I will talk to you guys tomorrow, and as always, may the Force be with you.